Failure, a word that most people fear, but one that shaped me into who I am today. You see, life has a way of humbling us, of testing us, of pushing us to the edge of what we think we can handle. I know what it feels like to fail. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. And for a long time, I thought those failures defined me. I thought rejection was a reflection of my worth, but I was wrong. Every failure carried a hidden lesson. At first, I didn't see it. I only felt the sting, the disappointment, the voice inside my head telling me, maybe you're just not good enough. But something in me refused to quit. I asked myself one question. What if failure isn't the opposite of success, but the very path to it? That single shift in perspective changed everything. When doors closed, I searched for windows. When people doubted me, I let that doubt fuel my determination. When opportunities slipped through my hands, I created new ones. Failure stopped being the end of the road. It became the start of something greater. A new strategy, a new attempt, a new belief in myself. The truth is, rejection doesn't define you. What defines you is how you respond. Will you let it break you, or will you let it shape you? I chose the latter. I learned that failure is not permanent, but giving up is. Every time I was told no, I reminded myself that all it takes is one yes to change a life. I stand here today, not because I never failed, but because I never stopped moving forward despite failing. Success is not built on perfection. It is built on resilience, on courage, on the refusal to surrender when everything around you says you should. If you feel like life has shut you up, if you feel like failure has buried you, let me tell you this, you are not buried, you are planted. And with time, effort, and belief, you will grow stronger, taller, and more unstoppable than you ever imagined. Failure is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new chapter. The only real failure is the failure to try again. So when you fail, and you will, don't fear it. Embrace it. Learn from it. Rise from it. Because one day, you will look back and realize that every rejection, every setback, every disappointment was not working against you. It was working for you, carving the path that would lead you exactly where you were meant to be. That's how I overcame failure. Not by avoiding it, but by transforming it into the greatest teacher I could ever have. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the pathway to it. This is one of the hardest truths to accept because from a young age, we are conditioned to fear failure, to see it as a final stamp that says we are not good enough. We grow up in systems that reward the winners and forget the ones who stumbled. So naturally we begin to believe that stumbling means we are done. But the reality is entirely different. The most successful journeys are not smooth highways, but rough roads filled with cracks, potholes, and detours. Those who reach the destination are not the ones who never fell, but the ones who kept getting up after every fall. Failure is the terrain you must cross if you truly want to touch success, and the sooner you embrace it, the faster you grow. When you attempt something bold, something that stretches beyond your current abilities, you are bound to make mistakes. That is not proof that you are incapable. It is proof that you are in motion. Think about it. Standing still, doing nothing. Staying in your comfort zone guarantees safety, but also guarantees stagnation. The moment you step outside that zone, you risk embarrassment, loss, or rejection. Yet those very risks are the raw materials of achievement. Success is built brick by brick from the rubble of failed attempts. Every failure contains a lesson, a correction, a new direction. Without those, success would be hollow because it would lack the wisdom that makes it last. People often imagine success as a straight line that goes upward, but the truth is, it looks more like a messy scribble full of ups, downs, twists, and turns. Every dip in that scribble is a moment of failure. Yet each of those dips creates a new angle, a new piece of the larger picture. Without them, the line would never move forward. If you remove the failures from any great story, you also erase the foundation of the success that followed. The two are inseparable, like night and day, each giving meaning to the other. Failure is also a mirror that forces you to confront the truth about yourself. It reveals where your weaknesses lie, where your preparation was insufficient, where your mindset needs adjusting. This honesty is uncomfortable, but it is also invaluable. Without failure, you might walk blindly into bigger mistakes, but with it, you are forced to pause, reflect, and grow sharper. Every time you fail, you have a choice. Either label yourself as a failure and stop, or extract the lesson, recalibrate, and continue. The people who succeed are not those who never fail, but those who consistently choose the second option. Think about the inventors, entrepreneurs, leaders, and dreamers who shaped history. Their lives were not fairy tales of instant triumph. They faced countless rejections, broken plans, and heavy losses. The difference was, they understood that failure was not final. They knew that every attempt brought them closer. Even if it looked like a step backward, each setback was a disguised rehearsal, preparing them for the big stage. Every wrong move taught them how to make the right one when it truly mattered. When you internalize the idea that failure is the pathway, not the opposite, your relationship with it changes. You no longer hide from challenges because of the risk of falling short. Instead, you lean into them, knowing that even if you fail, you are moving forward. Failure becomes a badge of effort, proof that you dared when others stayed safe. You stop fearing the word failure because you realize it is simply feedback, not a verdict. And the more feedback you gather, the closer you move to mastery. The most dangerous mistake is not failing but refusing to try because of fear. That fear robs more dreams than failure ever will. Failure, when embraced, refines you. It toughens your spirit, builds your resilience, and fuels your hunger. Each time you rise again, you become stronger than before, and that strength compounds until one day you break through. That breakthrough is what the world calls success, but in truth, it is simply the accumulation of all the failures that came before, transformed into wisdom, courage, and perseverance. Rejection does not define your worth. At some point in life, every single person faces rejection. It could be from a job application, a business proposal, a relationship, or even from family and friends who do not believe in your vision. The sting of rejection is sharp because it feels personal, as if someone is telling you that you are not good enough, that your dreams are unrealistic, or that your value is less than you believed. But rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of someone else's decision, perspective, or limitations. It is an external event, not an internal truth. Too often we confuse rejection with identity, and when that happens, we start building walls around ourselves, limiting our potential to avoid the pain of hearing no again. The truth is that rejection is part of the journey towards success. Every no you encounter is simply a redirection, guiding you toward a place where the yes will matter more. It is not a sign that you lack value, but a sign that the path you are on is still unfolding. Imagine if every opportunity you chased came easily without resistance. You would never develop persistence, creativity, or resilience. Rejection forces you to refine your approach, to grow stronger, to prove to yourself that your dream is worth fighting for. If everything were handed to you, you might take it for granted. But when you work through rejection, the victories become deeply meaningful because you earn them despite the obstacles. The danger comes when you internalize rejection. People hear you are not qualified, you don't fit the criteria, or we chose someone else, and instead of seeing it as situational, they turn it into self-doubt. I am not qualified. I am not enough. I will never succeed. This is how rejection becomes a prison. But the truth is, rejection is temporary. Your worth is permanent. The world may not recognize your value immediately, but that does not erase the fact that it exists. Worth is not dictated by external validation. It comes from within, from knowing your abilities, your determination, and your capacity to grow. Rejection is also evidence that you are daring. The very fact that you face rejection means you put yourself out there, you tried, you reached beyond the safe boundaries of comfort. Many people avoid rejection altogether by never applying, never asking, never stepping forward. They trade the possibility of failure for the illusion of safety, but in doing so, they also trade away the possibility of extraordinary success. The ones who achieve are those who collect rejections like stepping stones, using each one as proof that they are on the journey, not stuck on the sidelines. Think of rejection as a test of belief. When someone turns you away, do you believe them more than you believe in yourself? Do you allow their no to silence your yes? If you do, then rejection wins. But if you choose to believe in your dream despite rejection, you transform the no into fuel. Many breakthroughs in history happen because someone refused to accept rejection as the final word. They chose to see rejection not as the end but as feedback, sometimes even as protection from paths that were not truly meant for them. The ability to separate rejection from worth is a skill that must be developed. It requires emotional strength to remind yourself that rejection is often circumstantial. Maybe the timing was off. Maybe the other side could not see your potential yet. Maybe the environment was not ready for your idea. None of these mean you are worthless. They simply mean you are on a longer road, one that requires patience and persistence. And sometimes rejection is the universe's way of steering you towards something far better than what you thought you wanted. When you stop equating rejection with personal value, you free yourself. You no longer shrink after every closed door. Instead, you knock on the next one with more confidence. You begin to see rejection as part of the rhythm of growth, an expected beat in the music of progress. Each no loses its power to wound you, and instead it becomes a tool that sharpens your determination. You realize that the only true rejection that matters is the one you give yourself when you stop trying. Resilience is more powerful than talent. Talent is often celebrated as the golden ticket to success. People look at someone who has achieved great things and assume it must be because of natural ability, an inborn gift that set them apart. But what they do not see are the countless times that person wanted to give up, the endless nights of struggle, the failures that could have ended everything if not for one key quality: resilience. Talent may give you an initial advantage, but resilience is what keeps you in the game when talent alone is no longer enough. The world is filled with talented people who never reached their potential because the first few failures crushed their spirit. On the other hand, history is filled with stories of people with average beginnings who rose to extraordinary heights because they simply refused to quit. Resilience is the muscle you build when you face hardship and choose to keep going. It is the fire inside you that says, "I will try again, even after everything falls apart." Talent might open the first door, but resilience is what makes you knock on 100 doors until one finally opens. And once that door opens, it is resilience that keeps you walking forward, even when new challenges appear. Success is rarely about how gifted you are at the start. It is about how many times you can stand up after being knocked down. The truth is, resilience turns ordinary individuals into extraordinary achievers. When you look closely at the path of success, you will notice that it is rarely smooth. There are constant setbacks, projects that fail, opportunities that vanish, people who disappoint you, unexpected crises that test your patience and strength. Talent does not protect you from those storms. What protects you is resilience, the ability to endure, to adapt, and to persist despite pain and uncertainty. Resilience transforms failure into feedback and obstacles into opportunities. Without it, even the most talented person can be defeated by circumstances. With it, even the least likely person can climb to the top. Resilience also creates growth in ways talent cannot. Talent can take you to a certain level, but resilience stretches you far beyond it. Every time you rise after falling, you grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. Each challenge becomes a training ground for the next. Over time, resilience becomes a force that compounds. You are no longer shaken by small failures because you have endured greater ones. You are no longer discouraged by rejection because you have already proven to yourself that you can survive it. This compounding effect of resilience builds a mindset that is unshakable, a spirit that no circumstance can break. It is important to understand that resilience is not the absence of struggle or pain. It is not pretending that things are easy. Resilience is acknowledging the difficulty, feeling the weight of disappointment, but refusing to let it stop you. It is courage in action, the daily decision to show up even when you do not feel like it. That consistency, powered by resilience, eventually outpaces raw talent. Many talented individuals fail to maintain consistency because they rely too much on their natural abilities. But resilience-driven individuals keep pushing, keep showing up, keep grinding, and eventually surpass those who once seemed more gifted. The beauty of resilience is that it can be developed. Unlike talent, which is largely innate, resilience grows with every challenge you face. Every time life knocks you down, you have a chance to strengthen your ability to rise. Every obstacle becomes a test that, once passed, adds to your inner power. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship, but about embracing it as part of the journey. The more you embrace, the more unbreakable you become. Resilience teaches you that success is not about speed but endurance. It is not about how quickly you reach the goal, but about whether you can stay in the race long enough to cross the finish line. Those who rely solely on talent may sprint ahead at the beginning, but when challenges appear, they often run out of energy. Those who rely on resilience may start slower, but they endure every storm and keep moving until they arrive at their destination. In the long run, resilience always wins because it is built on persistence, not perfection. Failure is a teacher, not a punishment. Most people treat failure as if it were a sentence handed down by life, a judgment that says, "You are not worthy." That is why it feels heavy, humiliating, and painful. But if you step back and look closer, you will see that failure is not here to punish you, it is here to teach you. It shows you the truth about where you stand, about what you know, and about what you still need to learn. Every failure is a classroom in disguise, and the lesson you take from it often becomes the key to unlocking future success. When you see failure as punishment, you run from it, you hide from opportunities that might expose you to it, and in doing so, you miss the very experiences that would help you grow. But when you embrace failure as a teacher, your perspective changes completely. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you start asking, "What can I learn from this?" That single shift transforms despair into discovery. Suddenly, failure no longer holds you back. It pushes you forward by revealing the gaps you need to fill. Think about how a child learns to walk. They fall over and over again, yet no one calls it punishment. It is understood that falling is part of learning balance, part of training the muscles, part of developing the coordination required to walk confidently. Every fall is feedback. The same principle applies to life at every stage. When you fail at a business idea, a relationship, or a personal goal, it is not life punishing you. It is life showing you what does not work so you can adjust. If you are willing to listen, failure gives you clarity that success often cannot. Failure has a way of stripping away illusions. It forces you to confront reality. Perhaps you are unprepared, perhaps your strategy was weak, perhaps your mindset was not ready. These truths are difficult to face, but they are necessary for growth. Success rarely teaches humility, patience, or perseverance. Failure does. Success might flatter your ego, but failure refines your character. It is in the difficult seasons, the moments when everything collapses, that you learn resilience, creativity, and determination. Without failure, you would remain blind to your own weaknesses and never reach your true potential. It is also important to understand that failure teaches differently than books or mentors. Reading about mistakes is helpful, but living through them ingrains lessons in a way nothing else can. The emotional impact of failure makes the lesson unforgettable. You might forget a piece of advice, but you will never forget the sting of a loss that forced you to rethink everything. That sting, though painful, is what ensures you grow wiser and stronger. Every scar from failure is a reminder not of defeat, but of experience gained. The reason so many people struggle with failure is because they view it through the wrong lens. They think it is the end of the road, when in reality it is just a detour. Every great innovation, every groundbreaking discovery, every remarkable achievement has failure in its foundation. The inventors who tried hundreds of times before succeeding, the athletes who lost countless matches before becoming champions, the leaders who faced rejection after rejection before rising to power, all of them were students of failure. They did not escape it, they studied it. They took its lessons seriously and applied them until success became inevitable. When you begin to see failure as a teacher, fear loses its grip on you. You no longer avoid challenges out of worry that you might fail, because you know that even if you do, you will walk away wiser. This mindset frees you to take risks, to innovate, to push boundaries. Each attempt becomes valuable, whether it succeeds or fails, because either way you are learning, growing, and preparing for what is to come. Failure does not diminish you, it develops you. The secret is to stay humble and curious in the face of failure. Instead of drowning in frustration, ask questions. What went wrong? What could I have done differently? What strengths did I discover in myself through this struggle? What weaknesses must I improve before trying again? Failure speaks, but only those willing to listen hear its wisdom. And those who listen eventually find that failure was not a punishment at all, but a mentor guiding them toward the very success they once thought was impossible. You are not buried, you are planted. When life pushes you down, it can feel as though everything is collapsing on top of you. Failures, rejections, losses, they pile up until it seems like you are suffocating under the weight of disappointment. In those moments, the natural reaction is to believe that you are finished, that life has buried you and there is no way out. But what if the very pressure you feel, the very darkness you are surrounded by, is not a grave, but the soil in which something new is beginning to grow? That shift in perspective changes everything. Being planted and being buried may look the same from the outside, but they are completely different realities. One represents the end, the other represents a beginning. When a seed is placed in the ground, it too is covered by dirt. From the outside, it looks like it has been buried, cut off from light, trapped in silence. But inside that seed, something miraculous is happening. The soil is not crushing it, it is nourishing it. The darkness is not punishment, it is protection while the seed transforms. The pressure of the earth around it is not a prison, it is the environment that pushes it to break open, to stretch its roots, to rise toward the surface. What looked like the end is actually the start of growth. The same is true for you. The setbacks, the failures, the moments when you feel forgotten are not signs that life has buried you, but that life has planted you so that you can grow stronger, deeper, and higher than before. This understanding is what allows you to endure seasons of struggle with hope. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this preparing me for? Every challenge you face has the potential to cultivate something in you. Resilience, patience, wisdom, creativity, qualities that cannot be developed without pressure. Just as a seed must break apart before it can sprout, you too must sometimes be broken open so that your true potential can emerge. That breaking is painful, but it is necessary. Without it, growth would never happen. Being planted means there is purpose in your struggle. Even when you cannot see progress, something is happening beneath the surface. Roots are forming. Strength is being built in the unseen places of your life. When you feel stuck, when nothing seems to be moving forward, remember that growth often begins in silence, away from the spotlight. The seed does not sprout the same day it is planted. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes unseen work before the first signs of life appear above ground. Your journey is no different. Success may not be visible right now, but that does not mean nothing is happening. The danger is when you mistake being planted for being buried and give up too soon. If the seed believed it was buried and refused to push upward, it would remain trapped forever. But because it trusts the process, it fights through the soil until it reaches the light. You too must trust that the hardships you face are not the end of you. They are the process that will prepare you to stand tall. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has gone through seasons of darkness, times when it felt like the world had forgotten them. But those seasons were not wasted. They were the very seasons that developed the strength to handle the success that would come later. When you adopt this perspective, every difficulty becomes easier to carry. The pressure is no longer a curse. It is a signal that growth is underway. The silence is no longer emptiness, it is preparation. The darkness is no longer a grave. It is the fertile soil of transformation. You realize that life is not trying to bury you, it is giving you the opportunity to rise. So the next time you are pushed down by failure, by rejection, by disappointment, remember the seed. Remember that you are not buried, you are planted. Something within you is breaking open, stretching, and preparing to rise. One day you will push through the soil and reach the light, stronger and more capable than ever before. What once felt like the end will be revealed as the very beginning of your greatest growth. Every failure, every rejection, every painful moment you have carried was never meant to end you. It was meant to shape you. You now know that failure is not the opposite of success. it is the pathway toward it. You understand that rejection does not define your worth, that resilience carries you further than talent ever could, that failure itself is your greatest teacher, and that when life pushes you down, you are not buried, you are planted. These truths are not abstract ideas, they are the foundation of a new way of living. The storms you have endured were preparing you. The moments you felt forgotten were cultivating strength beneath the surface. The setbacks you thought would break you were actually planting the seeds of resilience, courage, and determination. One day, when you rise, you will look back and see that everything you thought was against you was working for you. The failures, the rejections, the dark seasons, they were not punishments, they were preparations. So stand tall in the face of adversity. Do not be afraid of falling short, because each fall is a step forward. Do not let rejection silence you, because your worth is unshakable. Do not rely only on talent, but on the resilience that will keep you standing when talent fades. And above all, never mistake your current struggle as the end of your story. You are not buried, you are planted. And from the soil of today's struggles will grow the strength, wisdom, and success of tomorrow. This is how you overcome failure, not by avoiding it, but by embracing it, learning from it, and allowing it to transform you into someone unstoppable.